you are in the right place at the right time. That's right. It's been a little hiatus. Hadn't seen me for a couple of days. Maybe about a week or so. But listen, we got the bomb.com show tonight. It's called the Mental Health Matrix. We've got Dr. Letitia House Burns. We've got my girl Danielle Jackson. And we've got my man Leon Scott, who I just found out is a Dallas Cowboy fan. Hey, I'm about to break that. Yeah, he's a Cowboy fan. But listen, we ain't talking Dallas Cowboys tonight. We're talking about something important for Mental Health Awareness Month. We're talking about mental health tonight. So hopefully, those of you that are out there watching, you can definitely chime in. Let us know how you feel about mental health. And I see Dr. Burns is traveling, so she'll probably come back in. She said she was having a hard time hearing us. But hey, we're gonna go ahead and get the show started, and we're gonna go ahead and run this promo.
Margo, stop.
That's right. You're in the right place at the right time. We got Terry Moultrie, the co-producer of this show, out here with us
Hello.
today. How you doing, Terry?
I'm fine, and you?
Doing wonderful, Terry. Once again, Dr. Burns is traveling, so she might have chimed out, and she'll be chiming back in. Definitely, we've got a star-studded cast. I had a conversation last week with Terry Moultrie, and then that later that afternoon I spoke with Danielle Jackson, and they kind of like got the fire going for this show, and it's Mental Health Awareness Month, and we needed some shows on mental health, and so I thank them for our conversations, our inspiration. Yeah, we had just like a come into Jesus day, you know what I mean? Hey, a little Terry catch me early in the morning, had a little revival. Caught
Yes,
Danielle
2 hours. 2 hours on the phone. 2 hours.
Yeah. Caught Danielle in left. Danielle closed the revival down. Yeah,
So
that's
what I
what I'm
was
talking
talking
about.
about, so what I was talking about, Danielle came back and shut it down.
Oh yeah, Kim shut it down. Kim shut
That's
it down.
what's up,
So
Danielle.
definitely, and I know
Girl, a
brother.
time is the
That's
time. It's a
confirmed
time.
that
It's the
y'all
time.
already cooking.
That's right. And brother Dion, I happen to meet brother Dion on Facebook, and he's a Dallas Cowboy fan. So
Oh boy.
two pluses, two pluses. Hey, Dion, Terry's
What does old boy mean?
she's a New York Giants fan. Terry, she
Oh,
I
Terry.
worked with
Don't get them
him, Dallas
started.
Cowboy, and he came to work every day with something with a Dallas Cowboy. Either they win or they lost. He was still wearing it on his back.
yeah, absolutely,
That's right. That's
absolutely.
right. I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan. Absolutely.
And when the last time they went to the Super Bowl?
It don't
Well,
matter. It don't matter. It don't matter. How many rings did your team have?
And how
That's
many
the
times they
question you need
almost
to ask
got
yourself.
there?
It don't
And
matter.
how many
Almost
times they
don't count.
almost got there?
It don't almost don't count. Y'all heard Brandy?
Terry, that was the Dallas Cowboy fairy, and he said we're gonna sweep y'all twice this year. So I'm just going that y'all get for this year. We're gonna sweep y'all twice. Absolutely. But this show,
You and
guys,
your gadget.
me and my you better believe it. Now you know I'm a nerd. This show, the mental health matrix. I looked up the word matrix and I saw that matrix was that solution. And so I never knew that. I always thought the Matrix was Keanu Reeves them in 1999. I still don't understand the movie, but but thinking about solutions for mental health. And I spoke with my mom this morning. My mom, probably about 30 years, she was a psychiatric nurse in New York,
Oh.
and she was telling me some things. She won't come on the show, but I did glean some things from what she was saying, and she spoke up about how people with mental health problems definitely have been running in with the law a lot, and she said they need to be in treatment and not in jail. She said they need to have restraints by appropriate people, medicated by appropriate people, and you need people that are trained to handle them. She also mentioned that mental health is not a crime; it's a situation. It's a disease, just like heart disease. She said you have cardiologists to take care of people that have heart problems. You have doctors to take care of people that have mental problems. She said you need the right people in place, educated in that field to help those with the mental health conditions. And just want to go over five things that you can always look for somebody that's having a mental health crisis. 5 warning signs of mental health illness: excessive paranoia, worry or anxiety, long-lasting sadness or irritability, extreme changes in moods, social withdrawal, dramatic changes in eating or sleeping patterns. And so with that, this is Mental Health Awareness Month. The doctor came back in. Praise the Lord. The doctor came back in. Come on in, Doc. Come on in the room. Come on in the room. Jesus is my doctor. Doctor,
Okay, that's it. That's it. All right, thank you.
Well, I tell you what, I can't even sing on my own show. But we're observing mental health awareness, and I do have a cast of people that very close to me, very dear to me, and now Dion, who is like my brother, who you will be seeing on them Dallas Cowboy shows. When we do them Dallas Cowboy shows, yeah, you will be seeing Dion Scott. Dallas had a Dion, we got a Dion, so definitely. But my first question is going to be because being a caretaker can sometimes be very taxing for somebody that's somebody's mental health. And so Dr. Burns, Dr. Burns, can you hear me? I don't know if Dr. Burns can hear me. She's not looking.
Yes,
Doc, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, Doc. How
Yes.
do you stay adrift?
Can you hear
How
me?
does someone? I can hear you. I can hear you. How does someone stay adrift in the waters of being a caretaker?
How does what now?
How does someone stay mentally adrift in the waters of being a caretaker? We talked about how being a caretaker can be so taxing.
Well, one of the things that will help is knowing what you're dealing with. Educate yourself. Um, uh, self, yourself with triggers and things of nature. Knowing escalate that person, knowing what sets that person off, so that you in return won't abuse that person or won't be hostile towards that person or won't neglect that person, their needs that they may have because you don't know. And being a caretaker, one of the things that winds up happening is a high rate of burnout because of all those different variances that I just spoke of. But if you want to be the greatest caretaker that you can be for both yourself, caretaking your, being a good caretaker of yourself, and being a great caretaker, just
She's fading.
educate.
So you were saying key is like educating yourself more about who you're dealing with, educating yourself more. Um, and she talked about obvious burnout. Um, Danielle, Terry, you have anything to add about being a caretaker?
Yeah, I can say that for myself, I literally had to go and read. I had to go and read about why my mom was acting the way she acts, and the symptoms that she has, and I had to educate myself. So yeah, I understood what she was saying when she said that. I had to educate myself, and also at the same time to be prepared. I had to educating myself prepared me for what's next. Well, for what was coming ahead with my mom, it prepared me. So yep, she is so right about that.
Absolutely, I agree too. I'm currently doing caregiving for my disabled older sister, which uh, she has MR and cerebral paralysis, and she's also bipolar as well. And since I grew up in the house with her, like I know her, I know her triggers and and things, and you can kind of almost see it in her face when she's about to have an episode. But even mentally, for me, when I'm dealing with my children and my own personal issues, I still find it difficult sometimes to deal with her, even though and she's a family member. Now, when I worked in caregiving, doing the same thing with ARC and with autistic children, it was a job. So, you put on your professional face, you go there every day, and it's like, I know this shift is about to end. I just can't wait to get out of here. But when you're dealing with a family
Yeah.
member, there is no breaks. There's no time off.
Mm-mm.
You know what I'm
Nope.
saying? And it's a little bit harder because you also know that person. So it's like I know what you're capable of, and I know when I know when you're just acting out because you're not getting what you want. So it's
Mhm.
definitely difficult dealing with family.
Thank you, Danielle. And Brother Dion, you stepped away for a second, but we were talking about caretaking. A caretaker and how it puts stress on your mental health. I don't know if that's in your wheelhouse or not. Have you had that? Um, any what's the word?
Uh, experience,
Experience.
not in that department. My grandpa passed away from cancer,
Sorry to hear
and
that.
towards the end of it, he wasn't himself. He mentally wasn't there. That's about as close as I got in that regard for that. And like she said, we just had to educate ourselves on what was happening, before our eyes. Like that's the biggest thing.
Okay, and so thank you, Brother Dion. Thank you all for your input. Lucia Bergen said there is no excuse to use someone's mental health as a stick to beat them with? Why do people use mental health problems like a stick to beat those who are suffering from mental health problems?
All I can
What
say is
mean beat them like a
it's
stick?
a complex that they have with themselves to feel like, to feel inferior over someone who's not capable of advocating for themselves, able to express themselves, or the fact that they may not. My sister is deaf and she can't speak, and we worried about her for years being in residential living because she wasn't able to tell us what was going on. And there were cases where some workers were accused of abuse with her, and it's very hurtful for the family, when it's your loved ones in a situation like that, for someone to feel as if because this person isn't able to speak for themselves that you know that they can treat them like that. And it has to be like a complex that they have with themselves to not have that compassion, you know.
Mhm.
So, Brother Dion, Terry, I skipped you, didn't I?
Oh,
I
it's
skipped you.
okay.
She a Giants fan. That's okay.
Wait, go ahead, Dion. You become my new best friend.
Oh, Dion, I just realized what you said, son.
so,
Oh,
yeah, Brother Dion, why do people use mental health like a stick to beat other people with?
uh, part of it's never having been through it. I definitely didn't take mental health as serious as I did until I realized I had, issues within myself. Um, not to say that I ever used it like a stick, but it definitely just wasn't a thing for me that I took serious. I'm like, oh, like, we all go through things. It is what it is. But some people deal with things on a different level. So until you're in that space or have to deal with it or know somebody that's dealt with it, it just doesn't um, resonate for some people, I guess.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. And I'm moving around a little bit, guys, because I'm trying to get the doctor in here. Hopefully, cut nothing off. Whew, thank you, Lord. Whew, hate to move that stuff around like that. Yeah, trying to get the doctor in there. She was having difficulties on the road, so we'll get her in here via phone.
Right, so we can get some professional opinions. 'Cause I have
Uh,
some questions.
no, I mean, you guys are awesome. Y'all jamming. We got some comments coming in. Um, Barry Dingle from Cross, South Carolina. He says, good afternoon, brother. Good afternoon, brother Barry. Barry chiming in on the show and sisters. So he said, good afternoon to the brothers and the sisters. All right. So we
Good
got
afternoon.
we got Barry watching. We got Barry watching us. Sister, look, Dr. Burns, call me. I'm hooked in. Dr. Burns, you want to call in?
She look like she over technology right now.
Yeah, I don't think she can hear me.
Mhm.
She can't hear me. Hey, Doc, go ahead and give me a call. So my next question, why is it taboo to admit you have a mental health problem in America? If
Because
for some
nobody
reason,
wants.
oh, go ahead,
Nobody
brother.
wants to admit it. Nobody wants to get help. And
And
then
nobody wants to be
families
no.
back in the day. I'm sorry, go
Hmm.
ahead.
Nobody wants to be different. Uh,
Mhm.
and you just said it, Danielle, when you were about to say families. Like, how many times as Black people we were told deal with it or suck it up or
Right.
that's life or.
Hmm.
And granted, that's what
Another
we've had to do that for so long as Black people. We've had to just keep going, and from slavery, from even when we got free, segregation. Like we've always just had to keep moving one foot in front of the other, and so it's just adapted into our culture now at this point.
right. Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
I think a lot of them too don't want to own up to it. It's hidden. It's hidden. A lot of people with mental issues, they hide it. They
Hmm.
hide it. They don't want to own up to it. Some feel embarrassed.
Yep.
embarrassed about it. And if not,
Yep.
that medication wouldn't calm them down.
That's right.
And not taking the medication, you will know that they really have mental issues.
Hmm.
But they hide it a lot. And it affects the family when they hides it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And for some people, they feel like it's a weakness. I know for me, when I first, started dealing with my depression, I didn't want to feel weak. Seeking help. That was one of the things I dealt with. Now I can laugh about that because I don't even want to know what I would be like without help at this point. But yeah, in the
Wow.
beginning, that was definitely something I faced.
Wow.
Right.
Do you guys think Dr. Burns, why is it taboo to admit you have a mental health problem in America? Doc, you might want to call in.
Call him.
Give me a call.
Call him.
Give me the number.
She said give it a number.
Okay. Okay, I thought I'd get it. I don't want to give it out like on screen. If everybody calls.
Go be getting some crazy calls.
Yeah. Barry Dingle said I got mental issues, but they won't give me a check. So now I try to be regular.
Oh.
Barry Dingle, man.
Oh.
Barry Dingle.
Well, you know, I had a cousin. I got a cousin. She get a check, and she said what you do is you cover yourself, your face in Vaseline, and you go in there with like one shoe on and one shoe off.
Yeah. 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 My
And
best
she got
friend.
a check.
My
And this
best
is for
friend.
real. Like, I'm not playing. Like, that's what she.
There we go, Dr. Burns. We got you now.
Praise God. Hallelujah.
We need you, Dr. Burns.
Yeah, we did you, Dr.
All right
Burns.
now. I'm on the phone now.
Because some of that facials you was doing, we need you.
We was like, yeah, she about to give up. She's like, I don't know what's going on.
Uh-huh.
So Dr. Burns, yeah, because Barry Dingle just chimed in. He said he got mental issues, but they won't give him a check. So so now you try to be regular. Barry Dingle sick. He's crazy. He's
Got
crazy.
some people from Cross.
The question, Dr. Burns, the question was, why is it taboo to admit you have a mental health problem in America?
Well, like the young lady said about the stigma that surrounds it. That's one. Feeling like you're gonna be picked on, bullied, talked about, judged, and then also just not admitting it yourself that you may have a problem. I know, like in the Black community, if you have a problem, whatever your problem is your problem. You don't tell nobody your business, it's our business. What happens in our house stays in our house. So if there's something wrong with you, you can't go somewhere and tell somebody because it was just not the right thing to do. You don't air your dirty laundry.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So it stays hidden. And that's what's happening with a lot of, being exposed in a lot of the churches. You see a lot of people have mental health issues, breakdowns, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder. And then you try to figure out, what's going on. Well, it's always been, but we didn't know how to deal with it. We didn't know what it looked like. We didn't know the signs and the symptoms that what it looked like. Like I said, we didn't know what that thing looked like. And even if we did, we were not going to say anything because wait a minute, if my son has this or my daughter has that, then what does that say about me?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's about image.
It's about image. Awesome.
And when it comes to the church, It's looked upon as something is wrong with you. You must be demonic. We need to do an exorcism, or you have lack of faith that God will heal you. If you come to us talking about you got a mental health issue, ain't nothing wrong with you, boy.
Yep.
You better
and we try to pray it away.
Yeah.
That's right.
And sometimes ignore it like it ain't there.
Yep.
That's right. Well, there is a word that they use in mental health, and it's called announcinashi. And what that is a lack of insight. You spell it ANOSOGNIA. And the way you pronounce it is kind of crazy, but what it is a lack of insight. And so if you got somebody that has a mental health issue that has a lack of insight about something that's going on, where they're unaware of their condition, and then they can't even fathom that they have a condition and how to understand that condition, then how do we that may not have a mental health condition perceive that? We look at it as, oh, you just in denial. But they actually don't have any insight to what's going on with them. They have a mental health diagnosis. They have a medical issue that's apparent. But we look at them and say, look, is something wrong with that boy, or is not something wrong with that person? Because we're in denial, or they're in denial, when it's actually a medical diagnosis. And it's all about ignorancy. We just don't know. We just don't know. And that's the point of awareness. Mental health awareness is to be educated, to equip ourselves with all of this information, this knowledge, so that we can better advocate and support our people, our community, with people who need us. Because like all the people who are getting locked up now, I know for a fact that the police, they're not getting as much training as they could get, because it's just a little small tidbit. That little training that they get, it may be maybe a hour long little section, on mental health. So they're not focusing in on all the diagnoses, what they look like, what they mimic, what they're associated to, what they're related to. And that's why it looks like this, or that's why that person is acting like that or feeling this way. Unless you take the time to do the extra work, put in that extra 100% to find out about this class of people, these special people, this special population, you won't know. You won't know. And a lot of times it's in our backyard, especially depression. It's in our backyard. Eating disorder, it's in our backyard. It's in our houses.
Yeah.
And we don't even know what it looks like.
So
And
true.
we just dismiss it.
I think
Dismiss it.
I think one of y'all touched on this earlier, about, when we call the police or we call somebody for help, them not even sending the right help. I'm not sure if you guys remember Patrick Warren Sr. down in Killeen, Texas. The family called for, mental health response, and they got a trigger happy cop instead. They warned them before it got there what was going on. They're like, he's not acting right. He has mental health issues, and you still show up with a cop that within 5 seconds he shoots and kills him. And it's just that we don't get the same leeway that our counterparts get. We don't get nice little stern talking to, or showing up and giving me the benefit of the doubt. When you show up, you see me as a threat from the time you get there to the time you're leaving the scene, whether I'm in the back seat of your car or in an ambulance going to the hospital, pronounced dead or whatever. So I think that's a lot of it too, just us not getting the same treatment. Like we never grown up. I'm not. My girl's from St. Louis, right? But growing up in South Dallas, we didn't have therapists in the hood. We didn't have counseling centers to go to. hell, we didn't even have a guidance counselor in school. You know what I mean? Like, and
Wow.
I talked to some of my other friends, you know, who grew up in, you know, better neighborhoods. Those are things that they had. You know what I mean? Like that, and that's just crazy to me.
And
When
now
I
I think they want to
was
put a label. They want to put a label on people with mental issues. Because of that, they want to put a label. They want them to wear bracelets and stuff now. No. Mm-mm.
That's
Yeah.
not right.
Mm-mm.
No, that's like putting a scarlet letter on them.
Absolutely, turning everybody into
definitely.
Hester Prynne, and they
And
shouldn't have to.
that's like anybody else with any other type of illness. You know, if you diabetic or you don't walk around with. I mean, you
Drugs.
can if you
Drug
want
addict
to.
is an ailment.
Right,
They don't
drug
have to wear
addict.
no
Right,
bracelet.
right.
It doesn't have the same. It doesn't have the same respect. The physical illness versus the mental illness does not have the same respect that's warranted,
Yeah.
and that's the reason for the stigma. I was about to say that when I was living in South Carolina and I was a mental health therapist for mental health in the schools amongst the adolescents, when our black students, would act out, and those mothers would come in there, and of course, they don't know how to deal with somebody who has ADHD or explosive disorder or oppositional defiant disorder. They don't know how to deal with that, and so the parents would come in there trying to defend their children. And what happens is, as soon as the parents leave, they stick them in a room. Well, I'm not dealing with it because I don't want to have a deal with the mama.
Mm-hmm.
And so, once again, here we go. We're just pushing it under the rug. No one wants to deal with anything, and because we don't know how to deal with it, we'll just stick them in a room until the bell rings and send them home.
Mm-hmm. Or put them in special ed. They was good for doing that to, when I was in school. If if a child had behavior problems or anything, it's not that they wasn't incapable of learning. It was just that they had behaviors, and
Behavior.
be a speak to a mental health person. Instead, they just stick them in special ed, like you say, stick them in a room until it was time to go, and therefore they never
Y'all,
have
they barely had any lessons.
right.
Yep.
Really had
And then
any
they
lessons.
then they cripple their learning ability.
Right.
What you said, brother Leon?
No, I said I was going off what Danielle said. Then they cripple their learning ability because they're not actually teaching them. They're just, kind of pushing them to the wayside.
Passing them every year, just passing them every year.
Yeah.
Passing them every year. It's almost the equivalent of someone leaving high school and not being able to read. I can't fathom that.
That's what happens. That's what happened.
Yep. Can't do
'Cause
basic
I've never
math and
seen none of
things like
them.
that.
The ones I went to school with, I've never seen or heard that they went on to college or even had a good job. Most of them that was in special ed in Jersey, most of them that was in special ed, just out in the streets or
Ended up
other
in
little
jail.
low class jobs.
Yeah.
Sad.
What I will tell you is just acquiring the services for mental health in the school is a task within itself.
Mm-hmm.
They give us a list of resources where we can reach out because it's a form of discrimination if you do not provide services. But just to get to the services, it takes an arm, a leg, a toe, an eyeball, in order for you to even get what you need for those services to even be utilized. And especially with our community, there's that barrier by itself because we don't want to go to the doctor anyway. And then now you're telling me that I'm crazy because I need to go to a mental health doctor. So you got the misunderstanding, you got the biases, and then you got the underutilization of the services because there is no awareness of wait a minute. If you have a mental health issue, that doesn't necessarily mean that you are crazy.
Right.
And that's so what I thought.
That
That's
doesn't
right.
necessarily
Definitely.
mean that
That-
you're out of your mind or you're not smart or you're not intelligent.
Are
It
incapable of
doesn't
living a
mean
normal life, right?
that's right. You can live a fulfilled life. You
Mhm.
can. All I'm going to help you do is find what your triggers are,
Mhm.
be able to help you de-escalate yourself and find peace throughout your journey. So you'll be able to walk around like everybody else. I mean, I may not have a mental health diagnosis, but it's days that I can go from 0 to 100 too.
Right. I
So
Amen.
question
if I
sometimes.
can go from 0 to 100
That's right.
and I don't have a mental health diagnosis, what about the ones who don't have nobody to advocate for them that need medication? That need somebody to go help them remember their appointments and go to their appointments.
Right.
So it
Absolutely.
just takes a village. It takes a village to help our community and help, like I said, our people. And when I say our, I mean just all of them. White,
Absolutely.
black, blue, green. When it comes to this mental health, like I said, it's in our backyard and it's in our kitchen.
Mhm.
And mental health doesn't discriminate either.
It doesn't.
You're right. It doesn't discriminate at all. Um, Barry Dingle chimed in a couple times. I put it up on the screen. I didn't want to stop the flow earlier. Barry said, "Wait a minute." And he's talking about earlier when Terry talked about Cross. He said, "Wait a minute, back off Cross on the real. I'm impressed with this check. My post I did earlier. I think as soon as the people get in trouble, the first thing they want to do is play crazy. People need to be
And
responsible for their actions."
and there are tests for that. You can test somebody. You can run them through rigorous tests. You see people in court try to do that all the time, right? Like you can play crazy.
Right?
That's absolutely fine. But eventually it'll seep through. If there's nothing really wrong with you, it will seep through eventually.
Right.
Oh, of course. And that's the purpose of biopsychosocials and the screenings and all the SASSIs and all the different types of tests that they have for mental health. It will seep and show itself.
As a matter of fact, I think on the last show, but I can't, on one of my shows, I can't remember the name of the test right now, but there's a test that they give to the people that have done violent crimes, and that test determines what the Senate, basically what the sentence could be, if they're going to get out of jail or not when they're able to get out. Like it's not furlough, but I forgot what you call it, parole. The test determines all those factors. So they do have testing for that. But now the
Yes.
people that and I mentioned on the show, the police are the ones that need to be getting those mental screenings, because the testing that the police are taking, that test is not rigorous testing as that other test that I mentioned. I forgot the name of the test. Dr. Burns, Barry Dingle wants to know. He says you're on point, even with the spelling. He said, "Can you write him a paper so he can get a check?"
Tell him all he needs to do is make an appointment and make sure that every time he goes to his doctor's appointment, ask questions, be consistent, and follow up. That's all he got to do. Just be consistent. You have to go to all your appointments. You have to fill out your prescriptions. You have to go to your counseling sessions. You have to do everything you need to do in order to get your check, because they're not going to give you no free money.
Right.
That's right. Okay, so Barry, you heard that. The doctor told you now. And Barry didn't say what, but he's funny. He's crazy. That's my friend. Then Barry said earlier, and he was talking about Dion. What Dion said, he said, "Great words, brother. But we're never going to be fed with the same spoon as our counterparts." And that's when Dion was making reference earlier.
But
Did I say something?
I was going to say, to rebut that, like, it's not about being fed with the same spoon per se, but we have to give each other the tools. When we learn something, we have to pass it on. Same way the doctors on here giving knowledge to us right now. Like we have to take that and give it back to the community. The same way when we were, first free from slavery, we worked within our community with one another. Like we grew our own fruits and vegetables. We, cut our own hair. We had our own meat shops. We had all these other things. So we have to reinvest in our community if we ever want to see anything different than what we're seeing now.
Absolutely. Stop being so secretive.
Yeah, we can never wait on the government or, the counterparts to give us what we need in order to help better ourselves. We're gonna have to do it ourselves.
That's right.
So has law enforcement failed those with mental health problems? Has law enforcement failed them? Would you say?
Wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
Wholeheartedly, but they've been failed too with their training.
Yeah, that's
like I can put some of it on them, but it's also the training that they're getting. Like, when I was in the military, we got trained, two in the chest, one in the head, right? That's training you to kill somebody instead of de-escalating the situation.
Right.
So it's the simple training. If they were trained to lead with mental health or de-escalation or go in there with, the de-escalation courses are minimum. You get more training on self-defense and all that stuff, which you should. I'm not saying don't teach them self-defense, but she said it earlier, there's just not enough time on the mental aspect of things.
Mm-hmm. How to de-escalate and stuff, right? Even when when I worked a job with residential care dealing with like disabled and mental patients like that, they taught us something they call MANTS, where they train you how to de-escalate and how to non-aggressively like restrain a person without having to use force. You know what I'm saying? And
right.
Every situation doesn't, especially if a person doesn't have a weapon, it shouldn't require you to draw your gun. Get to know like where that person's mental state is before just, resorting to that lethal course of action. So yeah, I absolutely agree with Dion.
And every situation is different. So you have to go in with the mindset that it's not one size fit all.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And that's a lot of the problem. Sometimes they go in there like, oh, suspect is belligerent. He must be this. Well, have you found out anything about the suspect before you just, went from A to B?
Right. Is he intoxicated or,
Yep.
what the case may be?
Because when we saw the film of George Floyd, all of us knew all you had to do was talk to him.
Mm-hmm.
He was terrified of the police.
Right.
He was terrified. And so a lot of times, and all of us grew up with a Junior or Bubba or somebody around our way that had mental illness,
Yep.
and just like everybody knows that. And so, if you talk to them like somebody, they'll come right down. There was a certain thing you could do to deal with them. There was a certain thing you could do to trigger them. And we knew that from growing up around them. Now, if I came to your neighborhood in Dallas, I might not know how to handle Junior, but you know how to handle Junior. You say, hey, man, Junior ain't no problem. I said, watch it. I'll talk to Junior for you.
Yep.
And so I think that's the thing of, like the doctor was saying about training and education. And if you're already going in afraid of people, then wherever your training is, that's what you're going to lean to. If I'm trained more to exert lethal force, I'm going to use that lethal force, because that lethal force is a lot easier than that de-escalation.
Right. Right.
And especially the kind of mindset I have. That's what makes the big difference. Because I may be the one that needs mental health.
That's right.
Yeah, I might need a mental health a doctor. I don't know why. Evaluation, right? Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I needed that word. I couldn't pull it out. And earlier when I talked about law enforcement, are they failing us? Barry Dingle said everybody failed them. Now also Barry says we turn our backs. I'm wondering why back in our days we didn't have this many issues. I believe it comes to we'd rather pass the buck. And so it goes back to what you were saying earlier, Dion, about us being community once again and being community across the Great Divide, where I'm concerned about your house, and not just because my house is doing well. I'm concerned about you. I'm gonna call you. I saw your boy out there, and he been hanging with the wrong people, or he talked to me strange, other than the way he usually would talk to me. And instead of me feeling like he's on drugs, maybe he is having something going on with him. Maybe he's bipolar.
We've become in so much competition with each other over the years that we don't look at each other like brother or sister anymore. You know what I mean? Like, it's not until you get to know somebody. Like, there's been several times where I'll speak to, another man, and it catches him off guard. Like, hey man, how you doing? Like, what's going on? And it catches him off guard because we're so used to being on guard, and mine and mine only, or mine over here, that we don't know how to interact with each other just based off love and just being friends.
Without thinking, you want something from me, or you want to take something from me. I just want to speak to you, get to know you. You're my neighbor, you're my brother. I'm your brother.
That's it. Oh, who can I quote right now? Tupac. The song Changes, right? In that song, he has a line that says, "How can another take a brother if he's close to me?" So what that's always meant to me is, I can't go harm somebody else in my neighborhood if I'm friends with my neighbor who's friends with them.
Right.
If I care about my neighbor and he cares about the next person, I would never want to do harm to him.
True.
That's the Dallas Cowboy fan right there, boy. I tell you what. I know. Barry Dingle says, I tell you, that's my new brother right there. Barry Dingle says, no, boss, you need help. You're a Cowboy fan. Okay, I'm going to just listen to. It's a very good topic. Boy, I tell you what, that Barry Dingle.
Where's Mr. Dingles? Where is he at? Why is he not here?
Barry Dingle, we had him on the show. Matter of fact, he's a beast. We used to work together. He's a cancer survivor. He's a cancer survivor. He's a beast, That's my boy, Barry Dingle. We used to work together.
Oh my God.
I gotta give him a hand. He's a cancer survivor.
Oh.
So one of the biggest things I think is we need to learn to give ourselves time to heal. In our fast-paced society, how hard is that? With mental health, we need to learn to give ourselves time to heal. And how hard is that in our fast-paced society?
Absolutely.
It's been kind of hard. It's like everything is always, you got to stay on the go. Like they say, like you got to keep pushing. Like sometimes I feel like I need a mental break, but I can't. I got, work, kids, school, husband and things to do. It's like I don't get a chance to like
breathe,
cry it out, write it out, cope with hardly anything.
Yeah.
You different because I find my break. I find my break. You got to get a break. I find my break.
But then I find myself thinking about running away. So like it's very unhealthy, I'm sure. Because then I find myself like I'm just gonna disappear.
No, I find my break. I find time for me. Like there's a good thing. I have a support. My sister, I would tell her it's time for you to come now. Now it's time for you to come. I just give me 24 hours, give me 18 hours, give me something, and she will come. And then I go.
Terry, have you always been like that, or was that like a growing thing that you grew into where you were like, all right, look, I got to take a step back and give me some space?
I've always find space for me. Always. I never put me aside.
Yeah, because I'm more on the Danielle. I'm more on the Danielle side. Like
put yourself first.
Yeah, I've always grown up like looking out for other people, so I would kind of neglect myself, and it hurt me in the long run.
Well, see, no, I do first. I do for them first, but I don't do it all the time, because if I would do it all the time, yes, then I will need to see a mental doctor. So I make sure I take care of them first, and then I find time. I have to find time for me, or I will lose my mind.
Absolutely. I've learned that over time, but I wasn't always that way.
I've always been that way, bro. Mm-mm.
So, Dr. Burns, are you there?
Yes, sir.
So, Dr. Burns, what should we do in a fast-paced society? With your busy every day to day, and you need to find some time for yourself, for mental health. I remember they used to have a job. I had a job where they said you take a mental health day sometime because you take so many phone calls because you want to cuss people out, you know.
Mm.
And but they ain't give you no mental health day. You take a day that you got to take a day off your vacation. It should be just a day that you have. But what can we do in this fast-paced society to heal?
Well, actually, with COVID coming in and swooping in like it did, it allowed us to step back and and take a reevaluation of self. What we need to do, what we weren't doing, and what is important. Like, we know when we're born. We don't know when we're going to leave. But that dash that's in the middle is what's really important. What did you do while you were here? Were you always working? Were you always being busy to be so busy? And so you have to do exactly what Dion said. You have to do exactly what the young lady just said. I can't see who she was, but you have to take that time to say, it's about me, and don't feel bad. Don't feel like you being selfish or anything, because I'm gonna tell you something. You can't help nobody if you all broke down and beat all up.
Say it, doctor. Say it, doctor. Say it, doctor.
You can't help nobody. And so you have to take that moment for yourself. You have to woosah. You have to breathe. You have to meditate. You have to go get you a cup of coffee. Go to
the restaurant by yourself.
Walk. Go to a movie by yourself. Do things that you can just love on you, so that you can be a better you for somebody else who needs you.
So you can live.
The best part of you. Ma'am?
She says, so you can live.
So you can live.
That's right.
I need to live too.
If you do not take care of you, you are replaceable.
Sure is.
You are so replaceable. After you done did everything, you done ran yourself raggedy. Something happened to you, somebody else will replace you. So
Absolutely.
let's not have to get you replaced and just take care of you. You come first, and then you take care of everything else, so that you can be the best you can be for whatever you need to be it for.
I went to go get my nails done.
I'm saying this
so good.
I'm saying this from a place because I had a stroke about 6 years ago.
Oh wow!
And I had a job that was very, 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 very intense. And I had a caseload of 100 people. And I was taking care of all of my people. And that's all that mattered to me. And I always had in the back of my mind to do no harm first. But that was for them. That wasn't for Tish. And I wound up having a stroke on the job. I had a stroke on the job. So that taught me then, I got to take care of me.
Amen.
So that's just a lesson learned. You have to take care of yourself. You have to, please, people, take care of you. Even when I come home to my children, I say, just give me an hour. Let me breathe. My husband, honey, just give me a few minutes. Let me just woosah, so that I can give them the best of me. Because if I'm all messed all up, I can't give them anything.
Doctor, you hit that was awesome, Doctor. Barry Dingle chimed in. Barry Dingle said, before any healing takes place, we have to find ourselves again as people, not letting what they teach us and train us we were kings and queens. Oh, and Steeler fans. He had
He
to
was
kick
doing
that
so
in.
well. He
He
was
was
doing
doing,
so
he was
well.
doing so good, right?
So
He was
well.
doing so good, right? And he says
Man.
much love to the speaker in the panel. Yeah, absolutely. This is a serious, awesome cast. You guys, we down to the last couple questions, and I appreciate you
Yes,
so
I'm
much.
gonna have to go.
Yeah, I understand, Terry. I know what you're doing. I appreciate your time. I appreciate everybody's time because you see Danielle up there in the corner, and Danielle, you have to plug your business
Oh, you went too
before you
low.
go now. All right, we're gonna plug your business in a second.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, definitely, absolutely. I saw a T-shirt that read "Dare Me." You don't have it. You don't have to have it together every hour of the
Moment.
day. So now,
I'll be right.
okay, all right. So now, my question is this: what letter
Why can't I hear?
would you write to yourself
Jay
now,
just called me.
knowing about the events of the past? If you could write the person in your past, who is you, a
That's
letter
what I thought.
based
I'll
on
be
what you
right
know
back.
now, what letter would you write yourself?
Miss Tish just hit it. Most definitely, it's okay not to be okay. Um, it's okay to speak up. Don't hold your emotions in. I think that was something I definitely struggled with when I was younger. Because like I said, I would look out for people so much. I would kind of just put my feelings to the side and just hold on to them till eventually I blew up, and it wasn't pretty. So yeah, definitely those few things to myself at least.
Yeah, I agree somewhat the same. Like I would probably not have been so passive in my earlier years, so I wouldn't have developed maybe passive aggressive tendencies.
Ooh,
You know,
ooh,
able to better communicate and speak. Those years during middle school and high school, and like I say, taking time out for myself. And that I don't have to
that's
always
right.
that I'm allowed to vent and feel overwhelmed at times, or sad, or any of that at times. That I don't have to always be like superwoman and be super strong for everything all the time.
That's right.
Awesome. Because I suffer from perfection paralysis. Everything got to always be. Tish laughing. Tish, don't laugh. Perfection paralysis. It always got to be just right. I would write myself a letter and I would say, "Hey, man, color outside the line sometimes. You know, don't worry if the I's are not all dotted and the T's are not all crossed. It's gonna be okay. You know,
Right.
the world is not ending because you colored outside the lines. Because in the grand scheme of things,
Right.
as long as you get the main thing done, it's all right. It's okay.
That's right.
It's okay. Doctor, your sessions worked. Your sessions worked, doctor. Doctor, what letter would you write yourself, doctor?
A plus. I give myself an A plus. What letter? What letter would you write yourself? What letter would you write yourself about mental health? What things you would change if you could about the past? Oh, listen, my husband's telling me he let me know what he's trying to say to me, Pastor.
Yeah, he got your back. He got your
You and
back.
him had a language. I thought you were talking about like a grade level.
Listen, we eat chicken wings together. So we eat chicken wings together. So we can communicate. We got a
You
letter.
know that barnyard pimp is calling me too right about now.
Hey. What letter would you write yourself, Doc? What would you say to yourself? What would you say to the former Tish? I think you mentioned it earlier because Dion talked about it.
I think I would, for me, it's finding that inner peace always, whatever God allows. If always finding that inner peace. That's what's important.
Find the
That's
inner
important.
peace.
If I can, Pastor, for a minute, my wife just spoke on finding inner peace. I moved down to Alabama, and from Daytona to Alabama is a totally big difference. And my wife used to always tell me, she said, honey, until you find that peace, it's a difference between uh, having peace and always going. She told me, once you find that inner peace, you'll be able to settle down and be anywhere where as long as you have that inner peace. And once I realized that Daytona didn't have anything for me, Miami didn't have anything for me, I needed to be in that peaceful place. My outlook of everything around me began to change because everything around me had to come into my peace instead of me going into a storm. I had to bring everything into my peace. And once I did that, everything around me began to change because my outlook started changing on different things around me. And a lot of people, if they get to that place where they can just stop, settle down, look at what's best for them and everybody that's connected to them, then they can bring everybody into that peace instead of going into and instead of taking them into a storm.
Absolutely.
So that made a lot of sense to me.
Absolutely. The great
You need
fisherman.
that peace.
The great
You need that
fisherman,
peace.
Reverend
Oh, man.
Burns. You need that peace. You do. You need that peace. Nothing beats peace. Terry, we asked the question earlier. If you could write Terry Moultrie in the past a letter based on what Terry Moultrie knows today, what would you say to Terry Moultrie? Can't hear you. We can't hear you.
Who are you talking to, Becky?
Terry.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
For Terry to be a little bit more humble, in the same time that I'm in need of to be a little bit more humble, I'm still learning how to keep my peace, keeping my peace and being humble at the same time. Just to be a little bit more humble and like the serenity prayer, accept the things that I cannot change. And I don't want to start crying because accept the things that I cannot change. I'm learning how to accept the things that I cannot change because things happen for a reason. Leaving South Carolina and now here in North Carolina with my mom, it happened for a reason. And then, like me and you talked about, Cornell, is something that I can't change and that I would have to accept it and move on. That's what I need to do, accept it and move on. It can be a little heavy barrier for me, but I'm learning to accept it and move on. And that's what Terry needs to do.
And let go of the giants too.
Yeah, them giants in my life. The giants in my life. You right, bro. You right.
She talking about the giant. She done got scriptural on us now. She talking about Goliath. But you know you talking about East Rutherford. I know where you at, DR. That's right. That's right. But I just want to say that, big love for the people on this show tonight because we've got caretakers. We've got Dion that has dealt with mental illness. We've got the doctor riding down the road.
Yes, awesome.
With the Reverend. Awesome. And she came back from a TIA, and the Reverend telling us about peace and how important peace is. And I'm gonna loose them soon so they can get their chicken because I ain't gonna keep them on here all night because they say that man never lets go. Danielle, you have a business, Danielle. Tell us about your business.
Yes. Me and my husband have a roadside assistance building business, and
Okay.
we, pretty much go out and service the Charleston, Goose Creek, Somerville, and Moncks Corner locations. He does tire changes, jump starts, lockouts, pretty much anything to do with, roadside, or even if, your car won't start at the house or whatever. And he currently also has added uh, doing key and remotes. So if you lost your key or you need a duplicate key, he can also get an extra key for you as well. Thank
Oh,
you,
that's
Cornell,
good.
for letting me be able to speak on that.
Oh man,
Yeah,
listen,
that's all
and
right.
it's Haywood's roadside assistance.
Yes.
How do they
And
get in touch with you guys?
yeah, his number is, hold on just a second. I don't know nobody number by heart. 843 And you can also find him if you Google him as well.
Would he come
On,
to North Carolina?
well, that's a little bit too far. He'll tax you a lot. I wouldn't suggest it. I wouldn't suggest it. But I would love to come to North Carolina. Give me an excuse to come.
That's right. Go get
When
some
you
of that seafood.
get your piece, when you ready for your piece, you come on. When you
Right,
ready for your time for yourself, you
right. I
come
will put
on.
people with you,
Dan-
girl.
Danielle, give me that time
Don't
one
let
more
nobody.
time. Give me that number one more time.
843. Hold on. Okay. I'm sorry.
No problem.
843-442-8661. Haywards Roadside.
8661.
Yes.
All right. All right, guys, you see it down there. Haywood's Roadside Assistance, 843-442-8661. You get locked out of your car, give them a call. I endorse them fully. They got you hooked up. You know you got the hookup when you're on this show. You know we know everything. That's right. And
Right.
so, without further ado, we're going to get taken out tonight because the man of God, Reverend Eddie Burns, going to sing a song for us, and he's going to shut the show down tonight. Reverend Burns, are you there?
I'm here.
All right, Reverend Burns, I'm gonna go ahead and give it over to you, sir.
All right. Well, the song I'm singing is "I'm Standing in Your Will" by Men Standard.
All right.
I won't give up or give in. I'm holding on till the end. I will be steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in you. Lord, I'm staying in your will. I'm staying in your will, yes. I'm staying in your will. I'm staying, Lord. I'm staying in your will. I'm staying. Oh, I'm staying in your will. I'm staying, Lord. Said I'm staying in your will. I promise you, Lord. I'm staying in your will. In your will. I promise you, Lord. I am staying in your will. In your will. I'm staying in your will. I'm staying, Lord. Say that I'm staying. I'm staying in your will. I'm staying. I'm staying in your will. I'm staying, Lord. Said I'm staying in your will. I promise you, Lord. I am staying in your will. Your will.
Amen. Hey,
Beautiful.
hey.
Yeah.
I tell you what an awesome show. I'm just so thankful
Amen.
tonight for Dr. Letitia House Burns for Reverend Eddie Burns, for the co-producer. Terry could probably call me and say, "Where my co-producer money?" Terry Moultrie, New York Giants fan, to my new bestie, Dion Scott, the Dallas Cowboy fan, and my girl, who all I gotta do is say, "Ooh, ooh," St. Louis, because she gonna come roll it up. That's right. Don't let her pull up. My homegirl, Danielle Jackson. Listen, love all of you.
I enjoyed this. I enjoyed this.
What a great show. I had a great show. You guys are awesome. Everybody on this show need to have their own show. Let me charge you with that. Everybody on this show needs to have their own show. Absolutely. And so, as you pointing back at me, you know what? She always got to get the last. But listen, we love all of you. This is show 1 in the Mental Health Matrix. We'll be back with another show. Hope you guys have a wonderful night. And thank you for chiming in. Thank you, Barry Dingle, down there across. I'm coming down there to eat a fish sandwich with you sometime soon, brother.
Yes,